Hi everyone, my name is Samantha Mpofu. I am with my group mates and we are here to give a presentation about the history of the South African educational curriculum systems. The first curriculum I'm going to talk about is the Bantu Education Act of 1953. What is the Bantu Education Act and why was it implemented? The Bantu Education Act was a South African law introduced in 1953 by the apartheid government. The law was implemented in 1954 and remained in force until the end of apartheid in 1994. The act was created the Act created a separate and inferior education system for black students with the goal of preparing them for unskilled labor and preventing them from receiving quality education. Okay, now we're going to talk about why this act was implemented. The law had a significant impact on the education and economic opportunities available to black South Africans. The education system was severely underfunded with limited resources and inadequate teacher training, resulting in poor educational outcomes for black students. As a result, many black South Africans were unable to pursue careers in such fields as economics and management sciences, which required a strong educational foundation.
I'm going to take you through the outcome-based education, OBE. The OBE is also known as standard-based education. It's actually focusing and organizing an educational system around what is essentially or important for all students to be able to do successfully at the end of their learning experience. So it focuses on what students are able to do after the learning experience, which means the emphasis on OBE system is on measuring the outcomes rather than the inputs. The OBE was introduced in South African schools in late 90s by the post-apartheid government as part of curriculum 2005 program. Uh, I'm gonna take you through the OBE in relation to EMS. So now let's look at the OBE in relation to EMS as a subject. So OBE, like EMS, is a very broad subject that aims to equip learners with the knowledge, skills, and attitude that will enable them to adapt and participate and survive in an economical complex society. So OBE enables learners to understand the economic and management principle in such a way that they will understand and apply the economic management principle and concepts in a responsible and accountable way. The system also allows learners to understand and promote the importance of savings investment for economic development. They develop entrepreneurial skills, understand the impacts of economic activities, understand the impacts of economic activities on human, financial resources and socio-economic system.
Okay, now we'll be discussing Curriculum 205, which follows after the OBE, mostly focusing on objectives and challenges in relation to EMS. Curriculum 205 was a program to improve the educational system in South Africa, and it was introduced in 1997. Its goal was to improve the country's educational system by introducing a more inclusive and integrated curriculum that placed an emphasis on critical thinking, problem solving, and life skills. EMS teachers had to focus on teaching critical thinking and problem-solving skills, where learners are given real-world problems to solve, as well as through the use of collaborative learning activities that encourages teamwork and creativity. With the implementation of Curriculum 205, there was also a renewed emphasis on the use of technology in teaching and learning. To properly present the curriculum, EMS teachers had to adapt to new teaching methods, such as the use of digital tools and resources. Moving to challenges of Curriculum 205 in relation to EMS. Number one, we have the lack of resources. The shortage of resources such as textbook, instructional materials, and as well as trained teachers made it difficult for students to gain the necessary information and abilities in EMS. As a result, the student's capacity to participate in the global economy suffered. Then we move to the curriculum overload. Uh, Curriculum 205 brought a large range of new topics and concepts which overloaded the existing curriculum. So learners were required to gain a wide range of information and abilities in areas such as economics, business management, entrepreneurship, financial literacy, and consumer education. So in that short amount of time they had, teachers found it difficult to cover all the necessary information in the subject. Then now we move to the solutions. Number one, we have to prioritize the essential topics. It is important to determine the essential topics that need to be covered in the curriculum. Teachers should concentrate on these topics and make sure that students fully understand them. Then the last one, we have the government funding. The government can expand financing for EMS education by supplying schools with the tools they need, like textbook and qualified teachers.
So I will be taking you through the National Curriculum Statement, which is also abbreviated as the NCS. So it was introduced in the year 2004 and it was implemented in the year 2007 to strengthen the curriculum 2005. The aim of this curriculum is to ensure that children acquire and apply knowledge and skills in ways that are meaningful to their own lives. It gives learners the ability to identify and solve problems while also making decisions using critical and creative thinking. It also helps them work effectively whether they are working individually or with other members in a team. So some of the principles that we can take away from this curriculum is that it brings about social transformation, it gives active and critical thinking, and it also gives high knowledge and high skills to learners. So how does this curriculum relate to EMS? EMS is known to be a practical subject that equips learners with real-life skills for personal and community development. Now, an example of this is that usually in schools we see teachers allowing learners to have what we call Entrepreneurship Day, which is a day whereby learners are allowed to come and sell different goods and services in the premises of the school, so that they showcase their entrepreneurial skills, which is what they learn about in the subject EMS.
The revised national curriculum, the RNCS, was introduced in 2002 to strengthen the curriculum 2005. This was a framework that was introduced as a successor to the curriculum 2005. It aimed to build a foundation on the curriculum 2005 to further improve the quality of education in South Africa. The aim of this curriculum is to give less privileged learners a deeper knowledge on their learning subjects. The RNCS is in the subject EMS was introduced to improve the knowledge of learners in economic studies. It also educates the nature, processes, and production of goods and services. It gives learners entrepreneurial skills. The key features of the RNCS include a focus on the outcome-based education, a learner-centered approach, and an emphasis on the assessment for learning. 2011, the RNCS replaced by the National Curriculum Statement, which is currently in use.
I will be discussing the Curriculum and Assessment Policy, in short, CAPS. CAPS is the national curriculum for South Africa. It was implemented in the year 2012 and developed by the Department of Basic Education. The CAPS curriculum is divided into 4 phases, namely the foundation phase, intermediate phase, senior phase, and further education and training. CAPS covers 8 learning areas, which are languages, mathematics, natural science, social science, technology, EMS, life orientation, and creative arts. EMS was developed to equip learners with critical thinking, communicating, analyzing, and organizing skills. The introduction of EMS came with a number of challenges, both on teachers and learners. A research by Sabelo Phakathi indicates some of these challenges to be time allocation, resources, and teacher training and support. There were some recommendations that were brought up to try and solve these challenges, and the recommendations included a need to review the time allocation for EMS as a subject, a need for sufficient resources, and a need for teacher training, support, and development in schools.